Good evening. Welcome to this month's Town Administrators Report. I'm David Watts Jr., and with me is our Town Administrator, Steve Mayo. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, David. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving.
And you as well.
A week away.
Yeah, hard to believe we're already
know.
at Thanksgiving. And this evening, or this month, we're talking about the Human Rights Commission. With us right now is Officer Amy Rando, who's a member of the Human Rights Commission. Also, full disclosure, both Steve and I are members of the Human Rights Commission as well. So we've been a year.
A year. Welcome, Amy.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming to
Yeah.
our meeting tonight, our little talk tonight.
But
yeah, about a year ago, actually it was then Superintendent Steve Zreich and Brian Falvey, Selectman Brian Falvey, that talked, and a former school committee member and past chairman Bill Chetwin, that kind of had a brain trust that we should have this commission, had an idea about having this commission, given everything that was going on in the world, and how do people handle issues that they may have with someone else's diversity. Imagine that in 2016, we're actually discussing that today. But it is an actual issue out in the world. So Dr. Zreich and I got together early on with Selectman Falvey and Bill Chetwin, and who I understand is going to join us momentarily. And we actually put together a commission that really was going to try to act as almost like a talk shop to get some information, get some education out there, and really find a way that if we do have some issues, where people are being mistreated because of their ethnicity, that we can kind of figure that out, or where there are some misunderstandings, because maybe it has nothing to do with someone's ethnicity. Sometimes that happens. There is misunderstandings. How do we handle that? Before then, I think everything ended up in my office or at the police department. This was kind of the brain trust of this. So we got together and decided that we would have a commission, and because there is a great component in the school department, that the school committee would have some appointments and the selectmen would have some appointments, and together we would work that out. And here comes Mr. Chetwin right now. And thank you for joining us, Bill.
Joining us is Bill Chetwin, who's the chairman of the Human Rights Commission. Welcome, Bill.
Quite all right. So we put this together, and for the last year, really the educational component is getting out there, and it's really been a great, I think, a great other benefit of living in the town of Wakefield, that you do have this wonderful group of people who are actually trying to make our small corner of the world a better and more pleasant place, and a more congenial place for people to live in. I think that's going to continue to spread. So that's kind of the background.
Bill, as chairman, you've been instrumental in really getting all of us who are on the commission all on the same page. Talk a little bit about what the commission's mission is, if you would.
Oh, okay. Well, the commission, by the way, I apologize for being late, but to me, the commission's purpose is to give people a place to go to talk about issues. We don't have a lot of jurisdiction, legal jurisdiction, and that sort of thing. The complaints would go through Steve's office, and then we would work with Steve as he would request, okay? But mostly, it's my view of it is we want to make sure people understand there is a place to go. There is, you don't have to just pretend something didn't happen if it did. You have a place to go and somebody that will listen. So that's kind of what we're all about. And the more, in this first year, we spent a lot of time trying to make people aware of that, okay? And we continue to try to make people aware of it. In fact, we made the front page of the Wakefield item last night. I was surprised about that, but that's good because again, it gives us a moment of awareness. So that's what we're there for. We're there to let people know they've got someplace to go if they need to go someplace.
And just so the audience knows, we have 3 members appointed by the school committee. We have 4 members, including a clergyman appointed by the Board of Selectmen, 1 high school senior appointed by the superintendent, and then we have 3 ex officios, Steve Mayo, Superintendent Kim Smith, and Chief Richard Smith, and our member from the police department,
Right, we have a,
Amy Rando.
sitting beside you.
Sitting beside me, and actually I'm going to go to Amy now, because the huge advantage of Amy's membership on the commission is also the fact that you're involved with WAVE and with Wake Up, 2 other long-standing organizations in town. How does the mission of the commission also jive with Wake Up and with WAVE?
Well, with the Wakefield Alliance Against Violence, which has been in existence for almost 10 years now, their goal is to end intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, and also bullying. So I think that part of the Human Rights Commission, one of our goals is to lessen violence among different groups of people, whether it's because of ethnicity, sexuality, someone's gender. So I think ending violence in general is a goal of both organizations. And so I think in the future, hopefully very soon, we're going to be partnering up with a few different incentives that'll hopefully be discussed at the meeting tonight as well. And then with the Wake Up Coalition, which is headed up by Catherine Dingra, we have student resource officers who are very in touch with all the kids at the vocational school, the Galvin Middle School, the public schools, and the high school. They're also part of the Wake Up Coalition. And so working with folks who have substance abuse issues, they could be, struggling with their identity, whatever that might be, with different things happening in the world today. So a lot of people, unfortunately, sometimes turn to substances as a way to cope. So we just want to be a safe place. I know the Wakefield Alliance Against Violence does, and also the Human Rights Commission wants to be a safe place for people if they need to discuss any concerns they might have. So
That's another element, incidentally, is that we really do want to make sure that we're coordinating with the other organizations in town who basically deal with human rights issues.
But also, we go, as a commission, go one step further in that we are now members of the Massachusetts
We're-
statewide organization.
We're connected with MCAD, which is the Mass Commission Against Discrimination. We've become a member of the MHRC, which is the Massachusetts Human Rights Commission, which is actually, it's for the most part, it's this area, it's the Boston and Greater Boston area, but all the different cities and towns, and they meet once a month. And it's good because you get different opinions from people, plus you see things that are going on in other communities. We've also been working with Reading's Human Rights Commission they want to get some things squared away, and they want to use us as an example, as a matter of fact, to make some changes they want to make. So,
Which is all the more interesting because we've only been in existence for a year, and the Reading Human Rights Commission has been in existence for several years, isn't it?
yeah, I'm not sure. Quite a few years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how many.
Yeah. And we also, there's another one in Melrose that's
In
also
Melrose,
been around for a while.
Melrose was very instrumental in helping us get started, as a matter of fact, because they already had one going, and we met some people from them, and they came and helped us with the early meetings we had.
Yep.
So they were a big help in getting things going, helping us get things going.
The commission has also been very visible this year in several different areas. Wakefield 101, we've just recently done the second one, as well as the first one back in May, and then the farmers market. How do you think that helped, either of you, in getting us more visible to the townspeople?
we also did the Italian festival as well.
That's
So we
right.
had a
That's
whole
right.
bunch
That's
of
true.
different community
That's true.
events where we had a table out. We had a board that people could post on saying, what do you bring to the community? Because obviously everyone has something different to offer, what characteristic they think is, interesting to Wakefield. So we had a posting board. We also had one of our members bring in different international treats. Everyone likes treats. So different international treats from Singapore, England, Italy, also the Philippines, Korea, and things that you can enjoy from each culture. So we
Yeah.
also had books from the library
Especially
present.
food.
Yes, especially food, especially food.
That
so.
attracts everyone.
Yeah, and then we also did get, a lot of people did actually sign up to be added to our emailing list. So I think that the community does want to get more involved, and we look forward to all the different initiatives we're hoping to roll out in 2017.
And let's talk about some of the plans for 2017. Bill, you and Bob Vincent, our vice chair, appeared before the Board of Selectmen 2 nights ago, as of this taping, and have another one coming up in December before the school committee. What were some of the initiatives, the plans for the next year that were presented to the Board of Selectmen the other night that the townspeople could look forward to?
Well, one of the things that we're working on, the thing we're working on most immediately is doing a Martin Luther King Day in January, okay? We're looking at the possibility of doing a 9/11 event in 2017. We want to work on the issue of solidifying coordination between ourselves and the other community groups such as WAVE and Wake Up. And what I would like to do, and it's nice to like do, but not everybody likes to draw plans, but I'm hoping that we can actually put on paper map out a plan for the year, so that we know as we go along that we're moving, we know what direction we're moving in. We know what point B is, so we can tell whether we're on the path or not, okay? And also, we will probably we will continue to be involved with MAHRC, which is the Mass Human Rights Commission, and MCAD not so much. Will be communication with MCAD will be based on need more than anything, I think.
Well, because MCAD really does the legal side of it.
Yes, they do.
If there is an instance of violent discrimination in a community, it would be MCAD that would take that to the courts and see that it's adjudicated properly.
And it almost would seem like Steve may be more involved with MCAD than we would be, or the chief. You know.
Yeah.
But it's important to build those relationships, I think, and have people that when you have a question you don't know the answer, call somebody from ours, call somebody from Mass HRC, somebody who's done it before, why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
I also think it's important, particularly, the country has just gone through a very polarizing event, maybe a whole polarizing summer, really, that mercifully is over. At least that portion is. And I think that when you, I know Officer Rando is in the schools a lot. I am in not as much, but I still have a lot of connections there. And it is amazing how the tenor and the tone of the country has really affected some of the young kids. And, I have, my wife teaches 3rd grade, and she has told me that, the kids are coming home and are coming to school, and they are concerned that their classmates who are Islamic or Jewish or Guatemalan are going to be sent away. And I think part and parcel of what, we're trying to do is to kind of allay those fears as much as we can, kind of create an educational process. And I think some of the things, the international night, what a great night that was at the school put on, and great food.
Yes, it was.
But, Wakefield, which used to be, 48% Italian, 48% Irish, 96% Catholic, has now changed.
And then me.
And then Bill. And then Bill, a couple. But no, really, no, seriously, is becoming much more diverse, and which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think the Wakefield 101 shows that, the influx of new families coming in, and but as times change, and as things change, there are some tensions that have, unfortunately, bubbled up. And I will tell you that a few have come to see me that are concerned, love the town, love the community, love the services that we have, love the lake, certainly, but have run into a couple of things. And that's kind of where this came from, a couple of instances. And, we talk about it. I've had some, lovely families in that, and they're very uncomfortable making that leap, that this is discriminatory. They're coming in, I've got a neighbor problem. Well, we see neighbor problems all the time, unfortunately. But when they cross over that line because of something which I hope is a misunderstanding on people's own perceptions. But in some cases, we do need to do some education, and in some cases, you know, you talked about MCAD for the people at home. That's the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination, and there are actually cases where we will suggest to someone that, you know what, this is kind of beyond what we can do here. You need to go to this, you know, legal entity
Right.
to get some sort of. It hasn't come to that, but we have had a few instances that have come in, and so what we developed, let's plug some of the things that we are doing. I think I put a copy of it here, and this is on our website, I think, and they're available at the police station as well. On the town website, on the HRC website, is an actual form that people can, a discrimination complaint form. I gotta say that I have only received one or two of them, and one was not accurate at all. And actually, thank you to Officer Rando. I said, I got this, and she said, yeah. So Officer Rando knew about it, which really talks about what has happened to you. And this is something that will come into me. It is completely, no one will know who you are other than me if you chose to come see me. And we'll talk about it and see if it needs to go to the next step. And the initial next step is going to be the commission. The commission to talk about it, and we have some great minds on it, including a member of the clergy, that maybe we can talk this out. Maybe there's a misunderstanding. When we first met with Melrose, Melrose talked about a business in town that appeared to be discriminatory. And they tell the story about people coming in that weren't serviced there, And they brought, actually, they asked the business owner, didn't bring in, asked the business owner to come in. And I think the business owner in that case, thank God, was shocked that that was the perception that he or she was giving to the public. And that was a complete, how they handled themselves. They didn't perceive themselves as discriminatory, and they weren't, I guess, in the long run discriminatory, but and they changed their perception. So that was the case where they just talked about it and it worked out.
Right.
Would all of them be that simple? I don't know. But this is available to people. If you feel for some reason that this hasn't worked out, you know, first of all, phone call is always in order, or pop in. I mean, I have office hours. I know that Officer Rando is all over town. And so there is an avenue for you, and don't be, I guess, feeling comfortable about it, because we're here to help. We are part of the family. So this was actually, you know, it's a one or two-page form, but we spent a lot of time on this.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, it really is kind of
we
silly.
did.
Putting it together,
But-
sure.
But how you can do that, and it's just asking for some basic information. So
Right.
I think it's a great service to the community myself.
But I think the important distinction is right now, the commission is not an adjudication body.
It's not adjudicatory, it's not
It's-
punitive, it is a
Primarily,
Yeah.
our mission is education.
education, and I would say comfort and a talk shop. I use the word talk shop, a talk shop where people can actually,
Yeah,
a
a
safe
place where-
haven, maybe a safe
safe
haven where
place.
people
Yeah.
can, you know, a safe place, I think people can talk about what
Right.
they're experiencing, and can we sometimes do something to help? I think we can.
And the other important thing is all meetings, because we're a governmental body, all meetings are open to the public.
Yeah.
They are posted on the town website.
Yep.
And in fact, our
There's one
meetings
tonight.
are always the third Wednesday of the month here at WCAT in the conference room at 6:30. Anyone in the public who would like to come is welcome to join us. We do have a public participation segment at the beginning of the meeting, so anyone who has something to say, good, bad, or otherwise, this is your chance to say it. In fact, we've had some wonderful historical
Yes.
pieces from Eric Reed in our meetings about race relations in Wakefield going back to the Civil War era and even the Revolutionary War era.
It has come a long way, and I look forward to, you know, 2017 and beyond, when it becomes more ingrained, and particularly working with some of the other groups that have been established, like WAVE, which has a great, not only reputation, but a great success rate, I think, over the years, and that's a testament to you and your entire brethren over there on Union Street, so do us proud.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that we can be very proud of, is the fact that we have such a great police force in this town, that
Absolutely.
we've really had many times less problems than some of the communities surrounding us have had with regard to human rights problems and violations.
Absolutely.
You know.
And that comes down to training. I think that comes down to the caliber of officers that we have. And I think that when you look nationwide, you look at there are much less of those type of instances in Massachusetts than the rest of the country. And I think a lot of it comes down to, and it's a sore subject for some people out there, but it comes down to the Quinn Bill, and it comes down that we have well-educated, as a rule in Massachusetts, well-educated, well-trained police officers, and it's worth every penny that the taxpayers put out. And Wakefield has actually been, as a community, very good about supporting all of its first responders, particularly the police, and that's something I'm very happy about. I know the Board of Selectmen are very supportive, and the town in general, so.
But at the same time, also, people see the police officers out on the street. They see them in the community. They aren't just, faceless people in cars riding around the town all the time. And I think that makes a huge difference when we see some of the problems that we've seen in other communities.
And can you, I think even today we had a bunch of posts on the police department, a bunch of how it's affected mainly the young people. So can you share a couple of those things that I think that came
Absolutely.
across today?
I think Officer Tobine, I think they were talking about
Yes.
safety, just,
Yeah.
Everyday safety with a young group of kids. And there was a young boy, and I looked at the post very briefly earlier, and I think he was a 5-year-old boy sporting his Wakefield Police backpack, or maybe he was a 5th grader, I'm sorry.
Fifth grader,
a
I think it was 5th grader, yeah.
And he walks by Officer Kelly's office every day to go show
Yeah.
off his new backpack that he got that
Yeah.
has the Wakefield logo on it. So we have a great relationship with the kids. The student resource officers, they especially get to know the kids who do have troubles going on in their lives. Those are the ones that they try to go out and become friends with and be a person that they can turn to.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to show in the years to come. I think kids are going to know that they have, safe people to go to, that, police officers are your friends. I think overall, I think we have a great relationship with our community. We love our community, and the community, for the most part, I think loves us back too. So I love working in Wakefield. I grew up here. It's a good town.
I think it's absolutely true, and you know what? Having a school resource officer in the 3 schools in Wakefield, and I'm including the vocational school up the hill, Wakefield High School and the Galvin Middle School, and the officers get into the elementary schools quite often, I know that too. I believe it's made such a difference in that now, and whether it's an issue of human rights, whether it's an issue of substance abuse, whether it's an instance of bullying, an instance of safety, the police are their partners in this. And I think it makes such a difference that these young kids aren't afraid. And they're not going, oh, the police are coming, I got to run. Maybe that was your your instincts when you were a kid. Oh boy, here they come. And I think what I've heard the officers say to the young kids, listen, when you see us on Halloween, I don't want you running away. I want you to come over. We might have candy for you, or we might talk to you. And that whole relationship, what a change. And a recent initiative that the police department has put on is actually going back more towards the business community, and that walking the beat sort of thing. We have all this high-tech stuff, we're doing all this stuff, but also that, going in and seeing the store owners and getting to know them, the shop owners, getting to know them. How many people did you meet today as an officer walking the beat? Oh, I met 4 store owners. That's right. So they get to know you now. It's not that what's happening, the police are walking around, what's happening, I got to move my car, all that stuff. No, they're there to kind of help you. So it's that, and you throw the human rights into this. You throw the mental health piece, which you're very involved in, Amy. What a difference. I mean, I think what this community does for all these things. So I know I'm proud to be part of it. I know that the men and women at the police department and the police chief is, and the community has supported it, and that's big, huge.
But the fact that we have gotten, as a commission, so much support in our first year from everyone in town government, I don't think we've had anyone that really has,
No, no, we've.
No,
had-
I just throw cold water on you guys sometimes. It's me. I'm the one.
but that's your job.
That's my job.
But that's your job.
You don't throw cold water, you just,
Well, Bill keeps telling people where to
Enlighten
go.
us.
We want to tell people where to go. I keep saying, that's not what we want to.
yeah. Good point.
So, not
Here's
to
throw
put
cold
too
water,
fine
it
a
just
point on it,
enlightens us.
what can citizens in Wakefield do to help the Human Rights Commission do its job?
That's a good question. you
Come
know.
to a meeting.
One
Yeah.
thing, they can certainly participate in the events that we've got, but most importantly, they can just treat people well. I mean, just come to my philosophical realization that I've preached forever, that, if we're going to make this work, we all have to work together. So that's what we look for people to do. If there's an incident, let us know about the incident, okay? If you can help somebody, help them, So and obviously, at some point, because we have rotating, people can't stay on the commission forever, if you're a person that thinks you might be willing to serve on the commission
Right.
as we go down the road, certainly let us know that. And as Amy mentioned, being at the farmers market and places like that, we have gotten names who have want to be added to our email list and stuff.
Right.
So, but I grew up in Wakefield, okay, 100 years ago. So
They were cutting ice out of Lake Quannapowa.
that's right. No, they weren't.
Actually, that was his
No, they
first
weren't.
job in high school.
Stop doing that.
Stop doing that, okay.
But I used to skate on Quannapowa. Quannapowa would freeze for the winter. Doesn't
Yeah.
do that anymore. But it's a great community, and we want to keep it that way. And it's becoming more diverse, and I think that's a good thing.
Right.
Right.
It's because we learn from each other. That's all part of doing it together to make it work. But we need to learn from each other. Wakefield, when I was growing up, was not a diverse community. It wasn't not that it was a bad community, it just
No.
wasn't.
That was
it-
just
it
the
just
times.
wasn't very
Yeah.
diverse, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for people to learn, it's good for people. Anything they think they might want to help us with, we'll be more than happy
Right.
to hear from them.
Amy hit it on the head, is come to a meeting and get involved, and not only come to a meeting, but when there's going to be a Martin Luther King Day celebration here. And I think
that's
celebration
true, yeah.
is a true word, and, come to it and bring your children to it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our, young kids don't know who Martin Luther King was.
Yeah, that's
And in some senses, maybe that's a good thing, because that the concept that because their color of their skin is different, the pigmentation in their skin is different, they can't get they can't ride the bus here, they can't be treated equally, they can't drink from this water fountain, they can't go into restaurants. I mean, I think our young kids, they have no concept of that, and maybe
Right.
that's a great thing.
Right.
But I think they need to learn the history and see how this movement, which was nonviolent,
Right.
changed the world, changed certainly this country.
And I think that's a good
Yeah.
thought to end on.
Okay,
'cause
perfect.
Once again, we've gone through the half an hour like a speeding freight train. But please, come down to a Human Rights Commission meeting, join us, help us to do what we as a commission have been asked to do every third Wednesday at 6:30 here at WCAT. And in the meantime, everyone, I hope you and your families have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and you as well out there. Thank you for joining us. See you next month.
Thank you.